There is something rather curious about the whole business of what we call spiritual awakening. People come seeking answers. They ask, what is it that these awakened people see? What do they know that I do not know? And here is where we must pause, because the question itself reveals the very predicament we find ourselves in. The spiritually awake person does not see something that is not there. They do not have access to some hidden realm, some secret garden closed off from ordinary mortals. What they see is what stands right before everyone's eyes. Only they see it without the filtering, without the commentary, without the constant interference of what we might call the separate self, the ego. Let me offer you an image. Imagine you are looking at a tree. Most of us do not really look at the tree at all. We look at the word tree. We look at our idea of what a tree should be. We think, yes, that is a tree. I know what trees are. Useful for shade, good for timber, produces the air we breathe. And we have completely missed the tree itself. We have substituted the description for the actual thing, the map for the territory, as the old saying goes. The awake person looks at that same tree and sees it directly, without the wall of words between them and it. They see the actual nature of it, the isness of it, the extraordinary dance of light and shadow and form happening right there before them. And suddenly, that tree becomes the most marvelous thing in all existence. They are not seeing something extra. They are seeing what is actually present when you remove what has been added by the thinking mind. Here is where it becomes truly interesting. Most people walk through life in a kind of trance. They are under a spell, hypnotized by words, by ideas, by their own stream of thoughts. They believe that their thoughts about the world are the world itself. It is as if someone spent their entire life looking at paintings of the ocean and believed they knew what the ocean was. Then one day, they go to the shore. They wade into the water. The waves crash over them. And they cry out, "Good heavens, this is nothing like the paintings." That is what awakening resembles, the difference between the painting and the direct experience. And here is the curious part. Everyone has tasted this. Everyone has had those moments where suddenly existence becomes vivid and alive and immediate. Perhaps you have felt it in moments of great danger, or great beauty, or great love. Suddenly the thinking stops, and there is just this extraordinary presence of what is. Children possess this naturally. Watch a child discovering a pool of water, or a butterfly, or their own hands. They are completely absorbed, completely here. They have not yet learned to replace direct experience with mental concepts. But then, we educate them. We civilize them. We teach them to live in their minds, to dwell in memories of yesterday and fantasies of tomorrow, to live anywhere except here and now. And gradually that direct seeing fades away, and they join the rest of us in this shared trance. Why does this happen? How do we lose something so precious? When did we trade the real meal for the menu? The spiritually awake person has somehow broken free from this trance, perhaps through sitting in silence, perhaps through some crisis that shattered their assumptions, perhaps through deep inquiry into the nature of things. The method matters little. What matters is they have realized that the way they were taught to experience existence is only one way, and not necessarily the truest way. They have discovered that their thoughts about things are not the things themselves. If this message speaks to something within you, share it with someone who might need to hear these words today. And if you find value in this teaching, consider subscribing so we may continue this journey together. Now, here is something that truly confounds people. The awake person sees that there is no separate self in the way we usually conceive of it. I am not saying they do not exist, or that you do not exist. What I am pointing to is this: the feeling we carry of being a separate ego, locked inside a bag of skin, completely separate from all the rest of existence. This feeling is a story. A very convincing story, mind you, but a story nonetheless. You see, we have been taught to identify ourselves with this little voice in our heads, this internal narrator that constantly comments on everything. I like this. I do not like that. I am worried about this. I am hoping for that. And we believe that little voice is us. But the awake person has realized they are not that voice. The voice is something that happens within their awareness, but it is not what they fundamentally are. Think about it in this way. You can be aware of your thoughts. You can watch them arise and dissolve. So if you can observe your thoughts, how can you be your thoughts? That which observes cannot be the observed. The awake person has discovered that they are the awareness in which everything arises. Thoughts, feelings, sensations, perceptions, the entire world of experience. They are not a thing inside the universe. They are the consciousness in which the universe appears. This is not some grandiose delusion. It is not about thinking you are divine in some self-centered way. It is quite the opposite. It is the dissolution of the ego. The realization that what you truly are is far more fundamental than this little character you have been playing. This role with your name and your history and your ambitions. The awake person sees through what we might call the skin-enclosed ego. They realize that the boundary between inside and outside, between self and other, is conventional, not absolute. When you breathe in, the air becomes you. When you breathe out, you become the air. When you eat fruit, the fruit becomes you. Where do you end and the world begin? The line is arbitrary. We draw it for practical purposes, but nature knows no such line. And when you truly see this, when you grasp it not merely as an intellectual idea, but as a direct perception, everything transforms. You realize you are not a stranger in this cosmos, not some accident, some brief flash of awareness that somehow got lost in a mechanical, meaningless void. No, you are an expression of the whole, just as a wave is an expression of the ocean. How did the ancient teachers put it? As above, so below. As within, so without. The microcosm reflects the macrocosm. You are not separate from the source of all things. You are that source, appearing as this particular form. This brings us to something else that spiritually awake people perceive, which is the unity of all existence. Not unity in some vague mystical sense, but the actual fact that everything is interconnected, that all things arise together, depend upon one another, cannot exist apart. You cannot have up without down. You cannot have inside without outside. You cannot have self without other. You cannot have life without death. These things do not exist separately and then come into relationship. They are aspects of a single unified movement, like the two sides of a coin, or day and night as phases of the eternal cycle. Most people see the world as a collection of separate objects that occasionally interact. They see themselves as one thing and everything else as other things. But the awake person sees that this is like saying the crest of a wave is separate from the trough. They are different aspects of one movement, one wave. In the same manner, all the apparently separate things in existence are different aspects of one happening, one cosmic event, one eternal dance. If these words are stirring something within you, I invite you to pass this message along to a friend, a family member, someone walking their own path. And stay with us by subscribing so we can explore these depths together. And this changes everything about how one lives. When you see that you are not separate from the world, you cannot help but treat it differently. Harming others becomes like cutting off your own hand. It is obviously against your interest because they are not truly other in the way you once believed. This is not morality imposed from outside, not rules handed down from on high. It is simply intelligent self-interest, once you understand what your self actually is. Another thing the awake person perceives is the extraordinary intelligence of nature itself, the wisdom of existence. We have been taught to think that consciousness is something rare, something that only happens in human minds, and perhaps in the minds of other creatures. Everything else is supposed to be dead, mechanical, without awareness. But this is a peculiar idea when you examine it closely. How did conscious beings emerge from an unconscious universe? How did intelligence arise from that which has no intelligence? It is like saying you can draw water from an empty well. or gather fruit from bare stone. The awake person realizes that consciousness must be fundamental to existence itself, not something that appeared later as an afterthought. The universe must be intelligent in its very nature, or intelligence could never have appeared within it. Look at your own body. Do you consciously beat your heart? Do you deliberately digest your food, or fight off sickness, or grow your hair? All of that happens spontaneously, intelligently, without any effort on your part. The same intelligence that grows grass from the earth and transforms caterpillars into butterflies, that intelligence is beating your heart right now. You are not doing it. It is doing you. The awake person sees that they are not controlling their life in the way they imagined. The ego does not actually do anything. Thoughts arise spontaneously, like clouds forming in the sky. Actions happen. The sense of being a controller, a separate agent making decisions, that is just another thought arising in the stream of consciousness. In truth, you are being lived by the universe, just as a wave is being waved by the ocean. Now, this might sound frightening at first. People think, if I am not in control, then what? Am I just a puppet? Do I have no choice in anything? But this is still thinking in terms of separation, of me versus the universe. What the awake person realizes is that the controller and the controlled are one. The universe is not forcing you to do anything. You are what the universe is doing at this particular point in space and time. When you see this, there is a tremendous relief, a tremendous letting go. All that anxiety about whether you are doing the right thing, making the right choices, living your life correctly, it falls away. You realize you cannot make a mistake because you are not separate from the process. You cannot do anything other than what you do because you are not separate from the power that is doing it. This does not make you passive or without responsibility. It makes you spontaneous, natural, free, like water flowing down a hillside, taking the path of least resistance, yet carving canyons through solid rock over time. The ancients understood this principle. They called it going with the flow or being in harmony with the way of things. Not forcing, not resisting, but moving with the natural current of existence. Before we continue deeper into this mystery, I want to encourage you to share this exploration with others who seek truth. And please, subscribe to join us on this continuing journey of awakening. The spiritually awake person also sees through the illusion of time in a profound way. We think of time as this river flowing from past to future, and we imagine we are being carried along in it, sometimes against our will. But actually, there is only now. This present moment is all that exists. The past is a present memory. The future is a present anticipation. Both exist only as thoughts occurring now, in this eternal present. The awake person lives fully in the present moment because they see that is the only place life ever actually happens. Most people are never where they are. They are always living in their minds, in memories of yesterday or fantasies about tomorrow. They are thinking about what they should be doing, what they should have done, what might happen in the days to come. And meanwhile, life is happening now, and they are completely missing it. They are missing the miracle of this moment. This breath, this sight, this sound, the feeling of being alive, right here, right now. Why do we do this? How did we become so lost in time? When did we forget that eternity is now, not later? The awake person has somehow managed to return to the here and now. They have realized that this moment is all there is, and it is completely sufficient. In fact, it is perfect, exactly as it is. This does not mean they do not plan for the future or learn from the past, but they do not confuse those mental activities with reality itself. Reality is always now. And in this present moment, when you truly settle into it, something extraordinary occurs. The mind becomes quiet. The constant stream of commentary stops, or at least fades into the background. And there is just this awareness, this open, spacious consciousness in which everything appears. And you realize that this awareness, this consciousness, is what you truly are. It has been here all along, but you have been so busy thinking about things that you never noticed it. This awareness is very simple, very ordinary, and yet it is the most profound thing in all existence. It is the light in which everything appears. Without it, there would be no world, no experience, no anything. And it is what you are, not as an object or a thing, but as pure subjectivity, pure presence, pure being. The ancient sages spoke of this. They said, "I am that, thou art that, all of this is that." Not three different things, but three ways of pointing to the same ineffable truth. The spiritually awake person rests in this awareness. They identify not with the passing show of thoughts and feelings and sensations, but with the awareness in which all of that appears. And from this perspective, everything looks different. Problems do not disappear, but they lose their power to disturb. Pain is still felt, but there is no suffering added to it by resistance and complaint. Joy is experienced more fully, because there is no fear of losing it. Life becomes play, a cosmic dance, a divine game. Not in the sense of not taking it seriously, but in the sense of not taking yourself too seriously. You realize you are playing a role, a character in this grand drama, but you are not limited to that role. You can be in the world fully, engaging completely, and yet not be trapped by it, not be imprisoned by it. This is what the spiritually awake person sees. They see reality directly, without the filter of concepts and ideas. They see the unity of all things, the interconnected web of existence. They see that consciousness is fundamental, not accidental. They see that there is no separate self in the way we usually imagine. They see that all there is now, this eternal, present moment. And they see that what they truly are is the awareness in which all of this appears. The ground of being itself, playing hide and seek with itself, forgetting and remembering, again and again, in an endless cycle of death and rebirth, sleeping and waking. As we come toward the end of this teaching, I want to invite you once more to share these insights with someone on their path. And please, subscribe to continue this exploration together. Your presence in this community matters. Now, here is the beautiful, frustrating, wonderful thing about all of this. I can tell you all of these things, I can use all these words, paint all these pictures, but it will not help you one bit unless you see it for yourself. These are just more words, more concepts, more items on the menu describing the feast. The real feast is available right now, in this very moment. If you would only stop reading the menu and start tasting, look at what is actually here, right now. Listen to what is actually sounding. Feel what is actually present in your direct experience. And in that direct contact with reality, without the interference of thought, you may discover what the spiritually awake already know. That you are that reality, looking at itself through these particular eyes, hearing itself through these particular ears, experiencing itself through this particular form. The ancient teachers put it beautifully. They said, the universe is not something you look at, it is something you look out of. You are not in the universe is in you. Or perhaps more accurately, you and the universe are not two. This is not philosophy. This is not belief. This is direct seeing, direct knowing, direct being. And it is available right now, because it is what you already are. You have never been anything else. You have only forgotten, lost yourself in the dream of separation, the trance of concepts and ideas. But you can wake up right now, in this moment, not by acquiring something new, not by becoming something different, but by recognizing what has always been true. You are the awareness. You are the consciousness. You are the space in which everything appears and disappears, comes and goes, arises and dissolves. You are the ocean playing at being a wave. You are the infinite pretending to be finite. You are the eternal wearing the mask of time. And when you see this, truly see it, not as an idea but as a living reality, everything changes, and yet nothing changes. The world goes on exactly as before, but you are no longer trapped by it. You move through it freely, like wind through the branches of a tree, leaving no trace. This is what spiritually awake people see. This is what they know. This is what they are. And it is what you are too, whether you realize it or not. The only question is, when will you open your eyes and see?